The hot stove has yet to ignite, but there's some smoke out of Detroit. The Tigers are reportedly listening to offers for Tarik Skubal, who just won his second straight Cy Young Award. Skubal will become a free agent after next season unless the Tigers sign him long term. Skubal represented by Scott Boras, and they're looking for a deal that makes him the highest paid pitcher in MLB history, a deal that would exceed the $325 million contract that Yamamoto signed with the Dodgers just 2 years ago. Welcome in former MLB Executive of the Year and CBS Sports baseball insider Jim Bowden. Jim, you've written extensively about the future of Tarik Skubal in Detroit and about potential trade scenarios. Let's start with where things stand in Detroit 3 weeks away from the winter meetings.
Yeah, so I think the Tigers right now are waiting for owner Chris Ilitch to make the decision if he's willing to commit between $350 and $400 million to a singular player. If he is willing to do that as an owner, then I think the Tigers have a good chance of keeping Skubal a Tiger for the next decade. I'm not sure that Chris Ilitch has come to that conclusion yet, but that's what we're waiting on. I do think Skubal would prefer to stay in Detroit if they stepped up. But as you just mentioned, I think it's important that in order to sign Skubal, you're going to have to beat Yoshinobu Yamamoto's 11-year, $325 million deal and Garrett Cole's 9-year, $324 million. Now, I've also heard that the Boras camp is looking for something with a 4 in front of it, so I guess that would be somewhere between $400 and $500 million. But you would think if the Tigers went somewhere between $350 and $400, you would think they probably could get a deal done. And if you're Skubal, why not take that kind of contract without the risk of maybe getting hurt next year? I mean, that is life-changing money. So I guess right now where it stands is they're waiting on the owner. In the meantime, the president of baseball operations, Scott Harris, and his GM, Seth Greenberg, are listening to offers from other teams, so they're prepared to go in either direction.
Jim, how much does an impending work stoppage factor into their decision about extending Skubal long term?
That is a great question, and I will tell you, Akeem, as I talk to the GMs in both leagues as well as the team presidents, most of them, and I would say when I say most, I'm talking about 90% of them, say that the potential work stoppage in 2027 will have very little to do with contracts that are signed. The one thing that I hear from the front office is, look, we're not going to backload money off of that year, but it's not going to change our offers to free agents or making trades. So I do not believe that will be a factor.
Clarity there from Jim Bowden, because that is super important when you consider what is ahead here in Major League Baseball. And a return for Skubal would be massive. Jim, who are the top contenders to acquire him, and what's the framework for a deal?
Okay, so it's interesting, right? Because you would think that, all 29 teams would love to trade for Tarik Skubal. But the truth is, there's only a handful of teams that have the farm system or the Major League ready pitching that could actually match up with the Tigers in a trade. And anyone trading for Skubal is going to want to probably try to sign him right here and right now. And there's only a few big market teams that can do that. So let's start with the Dodgers. They already have 4 aces, arguably 5 if Sasaki develops into one. So why would they want him? Because it's Skubal. Skubal pitches game 1, Yamamoto pitches game 2, Ohtani game 3, Snell game 4. So how could they get him? In a deal around Emmett Sheehan and Justin Robleski, Jackson Ferris. Is there here hope? A package like that, something they'd have to listen to. They could also come at the Tigers with Tyler Glasnow, who does not have a no-trade clause, and would give the Tigers an ace coming back as part of that bigger package. Other teams that certainly make sense, the Boston Red Sox. Their farm system is so deep right now. There's a lot of different combinations that could work there. The New York Mets could offer a package that included 2 of their top pitching prospects like Jonah Tong and Brandon Sproat. You've got the New York Yankees who could offer Spencer Jones and then a trio of pitchers like Will Warren and Bryce Cunningham and Carlos LaGrange. The Seattle Mariners could offer one of their young starters already in their rotation for an upgrade to Skubal to try to win right now. So I think those are 5 teams that make sense. And I think in terms of when we're looking at what would the return look like for a 1-year rental, I think we look back at the Juan Soto trade, not the one with Washington, but the one between the Padres and Yankees, where Michael King and Randy Vasquez were kind of the headliners. I think that's kind of the start. Probably 4 players, maybe 5 in the deal, 2 of which probably have to be young pitching prospects or a major league ready starter along with a pitching prospect.
All right, I'm excited to see what happens at the winter meetings if things start to heat up and the hot stove really gets fired up. You pulled off one of the biggest blockbuster trades in baseball history when you helped the Reds acquire Ken Griffey Jr. in 2000. If you were the GM of the Detroit Tigers, you're in the front office in Detroit, what would you do with Skubal?
Okay, I would be sitting down with my owner, Chris Ilitch, and I would be showing him how we can afford to sign Skubal to a 10-year deal worth about $375 million. And I would explain that proportionately, if we spread it out over 10 years, say it's $37 million a year or $37.5 million a year for 10 years, I would explain to him based on net present value how that's equal to when his dad, the late Mike Ilitch, signed Miguel Cabrera. And I would show him that clearly fits the budget. And the hardest thing to get as an executive or a GM or a president is an ace, a #1 starter that literally can win 3 games of a 7-game series in a World Series. And I would point to Yoshinobu Yamamoto and what he meant to the Dodgers in this past World Series. Now, if the owner came to me and said, Jim, I'm not doing it. I'm not paying $350. I'm not paying $325. I'm not going to give a singular player that. That's my decision as owner. Then I'm going to pivot Akeem, and I'm going to trade him between now and the start of spring training. And the reason for that is if I wait to the trade deadline, I'm not going to get the same return I can get right now. And I'm certainly not going to do what the Angels did with Shohei Ohtani and take draft pick compensation for the best pitcher in the American League. I'm not going to do that. So that's the scenario that I would have if I was working in the front office under Chris Ilitch.
That would be malpractice if you were only taking compensation. That would not be good because you got to trade. To me, if you're going to trade him now, right? Like you got to trade him now.
No doubt.
Trade him now. Get the biggest bang for your buck. Winter meetings in 3 weeks. Jim Bowden here with us on CBS Sports HQ. Jim, thank you.
Thanks, Akeem.
And here's a look at the top free agents according to CBSSports.com. Kyle Tucker, among the big names who highlight this free agent class that includes Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, Cody Bellinger. Free agent pitchers include Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez. Also, Japanese star infielder Munetaka Murakami, who's known for his power, is expected to be one of the most sought-after free agents. When a free agent signs, we'll have reaction right here on CBS Sports HQ.